Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Couples Talk. In this video, we're going to talk about a very important aspect of relationship communication. So, here I'm here with my husband Joshua, and my name is Charlene, for those of you who may be now joining us. And we're going to talk about something that's most important in every relationship, which is communication. Many persons think that they already know what to do, and even for those who don't know what to do, they don't think it's as valuable. But I want to let you know that in order to have a successful relationship, we all need to communicate well. So if you're ready to discuss with us this evening, let's dive into our topic.
All right, for me, Charlene, I've come to realize that if I look at a typical survey when it comes to marriage and the things that is either going to make or break your relationship, it don't matter who would have hosted this particular survey, communication falls somewhere in the top 10 issues that either people that do it well simply have a wonderful relationship and persons that struggle with it seem to always have certain challenges, and it has a spin-off. It's amazing how this one topic spins off into different topic in marriage.
Yeah.
If you're not communicating well, you seem to find yourself in financial issues.
Yeah.
If you're not communicating well, you find yourself in sexual issues
Yeah.
because we don't know how to talk and how to say what we like sexually. So that becomes an issue. You'd find you'd have issues with the children because we have not been communicating well, and then the kids run circle around us because they recognize that. So I don't think you could ever exhaust the topic when it comes to
No, you
communication.
can't.
So we just want to touch on a few of the topics or just a few points in communication that we think would be able to just help point us in the right direction. So the first one we want to highlight is the fact that communication is intentional, or good communication is being intentional. And for you, Shani, what does that mean?
Well, one thing we need to remember that this is not a magic one. Communication doesn't come naturally to all of us. We all come from different backgrounds, and in order to communicate, we learn from where we started. So for us now, both of us being married, we know we have decided how it is we're going to communicate. But what is most important for us, we're both Christians. So what we do in communication must reflect Christ in everything we do. But it also has a hindrance there because our background sometimes come into play in
Yeah.
terms of how we communicate. So we have one thing we had to do is practice to be patient and persevere with God involved in order to communicate well. So patience is very important in terms of communication, especially when you both come from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I really like that point that you shared as it relates to having Christ as part of that. And you kind of touch the next topic that I think I could just jump right into, in that how our background affects our communication style. And I've seen that coming through. When I look at my background, I came up in a very sheltered environment where being outspoken wasn't something that I practiced within my family unit. I was very quiet. It was that habit of speak when you're spoken to. If people are around and they're talking, you needed to be quiet. You needed to stay in your corner. And over time, I found myself pulling back when confrontation take place. So when it came to marriage, instead of being confrontational, I would retreat. So when you're hoping for me to talk more or to tell me what you're feeling, and I'm sensing that this is an uncomfortable topic, so instead of me, getting deeper into it, I have a natural reaction to pull back. Now, you may interpret that in a different way. Now, as someone who wants to hear more about the topic, or you want to go deeper, when my natural inclination is to pull back, how do you interpret that?
Well, many times you might interpret it, or I have interpreted it in the past as not wanting to communicate, as want to shut down from the topic. And this is where learning each other's background helps you to understand that this is not necessarily the case. It's the way we were each trained, we were each developed, that this is how we were taught to communicate. In my family, we had an interesting dynamics. We would cuss and scream about different stuff, but the other things we just wouldn't speak about. But we always felt the need, if something happened, to confront it. So we would confront it. Now, people might think, that mightn't always be the best way, but at least some of the issues were dealt with because it came out at some point in time. So even dealing with that, it have to be reminded that our background played a lot in terms of how we communicated when we first got married. Because many times we marry someone and we're so in love. So we assume that, all the love and the honeymoon stage, everything will just flow until you realize it's no longer honeymoon stage. And then now we have to relate to each other on an everyday basis. And you realize there's conflict because there's problems communicating, because the things that you never paid attention to is now what becomes a hindrance in terms of dealing with the situation. So it's important to learn each other's communication style in your relationship, understanding your background, talk about your past. You might not see it as important, but trust me, talk about your past. Talk about these differences. How did you handle conflict? What used to happen in the home? How did the parents communicate? How did the siblings deal with stuff? And then you would realize, wait, that's not exactly how we communicated. And that will give you an idea of why your spouse responds the way they do. And it will help you now to guide the conversation in terms of how you deal with issues.
Excellent. And as we go deeper into the topic of communication for a better marriage, the third thing we want to highlight is that our communication style can complement each other. And it took me a while to appreciate this. I have seen, at least in the beginning, I saw our difference in communication style as something that worked against us. So I may want to be more patient here when you want to trash this out. And over time, I've come to realize that God has given us each a unique communication style that helps us in marriage. So especially when we have to interact with other persons, especially as we're dealing with business, I might be very patient and would go the extra mile, while there were times that you are more straightforward, you're more blunt and so forth. And it allowed us to align ourselves in different part of our own business, where I might do the sales and the marketing, where I might be able to sell someone on a particular idea, while because of your logical thinking and your intuition, you have seen the need to run a lot more of our financial side of our business. And it allows me to step back from that, knowing that your style could work in our favor in our marriage. So you recognize that it don't have to be a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It could really be something that makes us stronger as a unit. But it's important for us to look at it and see it through that lens, in that this is not a different person, especially within your marriage. Your partner is part of you, and just a different side of you, and it allows you to use it to your strength. And especially when dealing with children as well, if you have kids involved, the way one parent may deal with a situation may be different, and that's a good opportunity for you to say, hey, talk to mommy about that, because you know what, I might be too soft on this issue, and you're recognizing that what, they're going to run circles around me, and nothing is wrong with that. They might be, a particular parent might be stronger on a topic. Let that person take lead in that. Or even if it's dealing with something else or with someone else, have someone take lead. Anything else?
Yeah, as Joshua mentioned, it's important to understand each other's style. Don't take it for granted that the differences is conflict. Differences, as we mentioned, can complement each other, as we even highlighted how we apply to business and different areas in our relationship. Because many times we fail to see how much of a benefit it is, because with him, with his personality, he's good at sales. I mean, I can't take rejection, so I'm not going to try to sell anything, but I can handle the logical side, the finance, the administration, dealing with people. And people understand, okay, this is not a game, because there's some people, they want the business, they will come to us, but they don't want to pay. And then a salesman, they'll try to beat around the bush with a salesman. I will tell you straightforward, hey, you got this service, we have been good to you, you need to pay. If it is you have an issue, let's discuss it. But we get to the point. So you realize, okay, it helps to work in a relationship, and it helps to benefit our marriage, it helps to benefit our business. So we have actually seen success in that area in terms of how we deal with stuff.
Now, the fourth one, we introduced it earlier, And we have to come back to it again. Invite God into the conversation. There are times you need to have some very difficult conversations, and you need extra help at times. There are so many times I had worked out in my head, how am I going to say this, and how I interpret Charlene is going to take it, and how the conversation is going to have a kumbaya experience. And probably right after we finish, we're going to have some hot sex because it's going to go so great. And as soon as the first word come out, and I see it didn't go how I thought it would have gone, and she said something else, and before I know it, instead of hot sex, I'm sitting somewhere outside watching Netflix, she inside cussing, and it did not go anywhere in how I interpreted was going to go. There are times that you need to invite God to come into this conversation even before it starts, and ask God for your words to be interpreted in the manner and how you wanted it to be taken, and to soften the heart of your partner to accept it in the spirit and how you want to say it. And God sometimes could give you the right words, the right tone, and the right approach for some of these difficult conversations, so that it's actually interpreted in the right way. So as much as, we may say, having a Christ-like approach or so forth, there are times that you literally may need to pray before approaching your partner to have such a challenge. And I know I say that for a difficult conversation, but I think for any conversation, even if it means just how do you engage with each other, how do you share your love, and how do you communicate with your partner, inviting God into that and praying for your partner has it just have a way of lifting the relationship, and having your partner recognize that you really care about me in a way that from a normal perspective you couldn't have done. And you could see really God is in the way in how we treat each other. And others will actually look at you and see something different about the way you communicate with each other. And I could tell you that has a lot to do when God is in the midst, that is actually helping you to deal with the good things and the bad things. What about you, Charlotte?
When you think about communication and we talk about inviting God inside the relationship before you talk, many times we think it's easier to pray about going to work, or pray about going to an event, or pray about going to church, about dealing with people. But we fail to take the same effort to say, let's pray about dealing with my spouse or talking to my spouse. We take it for granted. So we take enough effort to bring God into this situation, to deal with everything else except our relationship or marriage. So it's important to remember that reaching out to God, asking Him to guide your thoughts, your words, your actions when communicating with phone will help to uplift the relationship, will help to guide the conversation, to guide the mood, to put you in a better spirit, even if it is you're having a difficult conversation. God will, as mentioned, soften the heart of your spouse, that they're ready to receive what you have to say. Not that they're going to be extra happy with bad news, but the extreme reaction might not come because God is in the midst there in the conversation. And even with the good conversation, bring God into the midst, celebrate the fact that there's good things to talk about, and bring God involved, thanking Him for it, and say, Lord, I have some good news to share. Lighten the mood, make it even extra, because we fail to realize that we should celebrate with God. We're only bringing Him for bad things. Let Him join in the celebration as well. So invite God into the conversation at all time. I know it sounds cliche and like, oh, you meant me to pray to God. It's simple, just a simple prayer. Invite Him in. Trust me, He's willing to get involved. He's excited for those of you who are spiritual. You can still get involved with that. Those who are Christians. I don't know those who are not Christians. I don't know what it is you see or how it is you view this, but this is something that has been a blessing to us. So if it is, you could try it and see, as Spangalang said, for those of you who are Trinis, Spangalang said, try it, you're going to like it,
Huh. The last point we want to share with you is the importance of listening to understand. I have been guilty of this, or the opposite of this. You're in a conversation, someone has said something, it's triggered a nerve, and all you are doing is waiting for them to pause so that you could jump in to rebut, to kind of clarify, or to answer that question. And from that point on, you're not listening anymore. You're just waiting to respond. And the person might be saying something and pouring their heart out to you, reaching out to you, saying, I need you to get me here. And you've lost it. You've already checked out because you are waiting to respond. This is a time when you just need to forget about what you want to say and listen. Try to understand what your partner is really saying here. There's a lot of times the words that they are saying is only the tip of the iceberg. They may be reaching out to you, but it may sound like if it's conflict. It may sound like it's a form of rebuttal. But what they're doing at times is reaching out and saying, I need you to understand me. I need you to hear what I'm saying here. I need you right now. And I may just require you to come and hug me, to reassure me, to tell me it's going to be okay, instead of simply hearing one side of what is being said and trying to fix a problem. Sometimes your partner's just trying to get you to understand. How about you, Sean?
One important thing or exciting thing about listening to your spouse, understand, it shows that you value your spouse. When your spouse see that you pay attention, you shut off all the devices, you take off the phone, you turn off the TV, you listen, you focus on what they say. You bring a lot more joy and excitement to the relationship because it's like my partners listen to what I have to say. They think what I have to say is important. They think I am important. I know we need to give that person that level of opportunity to express themselves, to trust you, because we need to take into consideration everyone needs someone to talk to. And if your partner can't trust you, unfortunately, they might find someone else to trust. And that is not what we want. We want unity, we want bond, we want excitement. We want your partner to reflect and be your best friend. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have other friends, but your partner is going to be your best friend. That person is going to be the one you can't wait to share good news with, and unfortunately bad news with. But in that case, once it is, you pay attention and focus on listening to understand. Give them the opportunity to share with you, to be comfortable in your space. That's all they ask for. I know when you listen, don't listen to respond. Just listen to understand. Let them know that you care about them, and in turn, it will be reciprocated. Many times we're doing it and we're thinking, I wonder if they'll do it for me. But many times when you offer people and you show them how much you care, people are willing to show you that they care as well, and it becomes a two-way street.
All right. So we want to share some biblical reference with you just before we close. And the first one is taken from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, that says, instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church.
James 1:19. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry.
All right, and the last one is taken from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 13, that says, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. So as we said, we don't think we could have even touched or give this topic real justice. We just wanted to share a few topics as it relates to communication. Remember, your spouse is a part of you. And the same patience that you would want to have with a friend, with a colleague, you want to have that with your spouse, and even more. We're saying listen to understand. Invite God into the relationship. What else, Sean?
Just remember that all communication takes effort. It's not easy, but good communication, you have to be intentional. Just remember that once you put your best foot forward, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to get better. We had many years of practice and we're still there going along with it. And we're happy, we can smile about things. The things we fight about now is that, going to feed me this morning. I hate to make breakfast, going to feed me. But it's just simple things, So because we've gotten so much better at it. So it takes time, it takes work, it takes effort. And we have brought in God a lot more in our conversations. So trust me, it gets better with time.
One of the last thing I would say is that we're always learning. And as much as Charlene said, we've come a far way, there are still things I learn about Charlene every single day, which means make your spouse what would I say that? Make them a study. It's a course you should never graduate from. just that you keep getting better and better and better. Just seek to get higher grades with it so that you could truly enjoy your journey. If this is your first time here, definitely click that subscribe button and choose that notification bell. So when we post more videos like this, you'll be notified. And for sure, like this video, share it with a friend, someone else that might be able to use this content so that it could be a blessing to someone else. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next live.
Thank you and goodbye, everyone.